Καλησπέρα. Παρόλο τη ζέστη και την υγρασία, νομίζω ότι θα έχουμε μια όμορφη βραδιά, γιατί είμαστε στην απαρτία και φέτος είναι η 5η χρονιά που σαν ιδεόγραμμα οργανώνουμε κάτι για την Βερσόπολη. Η Βερσόπολη είναι μια ευρωπαϊκή πλατφόρμα από 36 χώρες φεστιβάλ της Ευρώπης και όχι μόνο, κάποιες χώρες όπως η Αρμενία και η Τουρκία που δεν είναι Ευρώπη, είναι μέλος της Βερσόπολης. Σκοπός είναι η προώθηση νεαρών υποσχόμενων, και η λέξη υποσχόμενος το είχαμε αναλύσει εψές και ίσως κάποια στιγμή αργότερα να το πούμε πάλι, ποιητών. Έχουν την ευκαιρία να προσκαλούνται και σε άλλες χώρες οι Κύπροι ποιητές, αλλά και εμείς να προσκαλούμε από άλλες χώρες εδώ στην Κύπρο. Λοιπόν, απόψε παρουσιάζουμε την mod, παρόλο που δυσκολεύομαι λίγο με το επίθετο της mod, αλλά να το διαβάσω. Είναι mod Van Howard, correct, από το Βέλγιο, και τον Patrick Kosenda από την Πολωνία. Και μαζί μας άλλοι 5 ποιητές της Βερσόπολης, ο Κωνσταντίνος Παπαγεωργίου, η Αυγή Λίλη, η οποία δυστυχώς λόγω αρρώστιας δεν μπόρεσε να είναι μαζί μας, ο Ανδρέας ο Τιμοθέου, ο Αλέξανδρος Χρονίδης, η Τουξέτε Χανλή και ο Παύλος Ανδρέου. Λοιπόν, απόψε θα έχουμε η εκδήλωση μας είναι σε 3 μέρη. Στο πρώτο μέρος θα ακούσουμε κάποια ποίηματα από την Μοντ και τον Πάτρικ στη γλώσσα τους, με μεταφράσεις από Κύπριους βερσοπολίτες ποιητές στα αγγλικά και ελληνικά. Στο δεύτερο μέρος θα έχουμε μια συνομιλία, να την πούμε, με ερωταπαντήσεις, δηλαδή θα κάνουν κάποιες ερωτήσεις οι Κύπροι προς τους προσκαλεσμένους μας, και στο τρίτο μέρος θα ακούσουμε έναν ποίημα από τον κάθε ποιητή Κύπριων και 2 από τους προσκεκλημένους μας. Στη συνέχεια, επειδή τα βιβλία διατίθενται δωρεάν και όλα τα βιβλία που έχουμε φέρει, οι εκδόσεις του ιδιογράμματος, αλλά οι ξένοι θα έχουν την ευκαιρία να υπογράψουν τα βιβλία τους, έτσι όποιος θέλει μπορεί να πάρει έναν από τα βιβλία τους, τα οποία έχουμε εκδώσει ειδικά για αυτή την εκδήλωση.
I also welcome you to tonight's event. Very special thanks for their support to the European Culture Program and the literary organization from Slovenia, Beledrina, the leaders of the Versopolis platform. Beledrina were successful in a 4th consecutive application in regards to the Versopolis project, which started in 2014 for the period January 2025, December 2028. Our Deputy Ministry of Culture, Flanders Literature in their support of Maud, and the Embassy of Poland in Cyprus for theirs of Patrick. We also want to thank our associates, Panaretos Zervidis and Anni Michaelidis, for their designs of the promotional material and book covers respectively. Vicky Costantino and Thomas Andreu for their IT support, the social media coordination, and of course the video and photographing of this evening. Very special thanks to our participating poets and the Cyprus members of the Versopolis platform that you will be seeing and listening to. And last but of course not least, you, our audience, for A, having braved the heat, and B, for being here with us and not sitting by the beach in a trendy bar with a cooling Aperol in hand. Thank you very much. And we begin.
Wij wonen in één stad. Maar meer nog wonen wij in vele talen, die langs en over en in elkaar botsen en die klinken met tongen die vreemd vallen. Wij wonen in vele talen, maar meer nog wonen wij allen in ons eigen hoofd, dat soms een stad vormt op zich, met gedachten in al te korte bochten, monumenten van herinneringen en plekken waar je beter niet alleen komt, 's nachts. dolen in deze ene stad, in onze eigen werelden rond. En net daarom misschien is het zo bijzonder als je iemand komt op een tram of op straat en je door alle talen en hoofden heen het gevoel hebt dat je elkaar naakt raakt.
So that was Dutch, in case you didn't realize. And I'm going to read the same poem in Greek now. Ζούμε στην ίδια πόλη. Ζούμε στην ίδια πόλη, αλλά πιο πολύ σε κάμποσες γλώσσες που περνούν και διασταυρώνονται, συγκρούονται, αντιχούν σε ανίκειες προφορές. Ζούμε στην ίδια πόλη σε πολλές γλώσσες, αλλά πιο πολύ μέσα στο μυαλό μας, που κάποτε σχηματίζει μια πόλη μέσα του, με σκέψεις σαν παρακάμψεις, μνημεία και μέρη, όπου καλά κάνεις να μην πας μόνος σου τη νύχτα. Περιπλανιόμαστε στην πόλη μας, στον κόσμο μας και μπορεί αυτός να είναι ο λόγος που αναθαρεύεις όταν κάποιος στο τραμ ή στον δρόμο στρέψει το βλέμμα κατευθείαν πάνω σου και αισθάνεσαι ότι μέσα από όλες αυτές τις γλώσσες και τα μυαλά στα οποία ζούμε αγγίζεις δέρμα.
Kanikuły i kociołki. Pędzimy przez te chmury jak balerony, jak baleriny, jak gagariny. Ich spasione ławice peszą nam przepony. Śmiechy snują się jak nagie i głodne szwadrony dementorów, bo palimy piekłoskręty i nieboskłony. Tamten mugol nad jeziorem puszcza ścierpłe drony. Wyjmij różdżkę, nie dam rady, jestem nieco porobiony. Pędzimy przez te chmury jak balerony, jak baleriny, jak Dumbledory.
Cauldrons and canicular days. We dash through clouds like mandarins, like ballerina gangarines. Our diaphragms are dazed by pokey swarms. Our visceral laughter flows like storms of hungry and naked dementors as we smoke hell joints and hellbents outdoors. That maggot by the lake is flying numb drones. Take out your wand, I can't, I'm kind of stoned. We dash through clouds like manticores, like ballerina Dumbledores.
Good evening. I wrote 2 poems in which life and death are playing a child's play. And in this poem, they play hide and seek. Verstoppertje. Ik tel tot 10, zei het leven. En daarna moet jij je verstoppen. De dood keek haar met grote, holle, haast aandoenlijke ogen aan. Het leven ging tegen een boom staan, telde traag tot 10 en dacht: ik ga hem lekker nooit zoeken. Maar toen ze zich omdraaide, schrok ze, want hij stond er nog. Schoorvoetend was hij zelfs nog wat dichter gekomen. En in zijn grote, holle ogen zag ze hoe zij was gezien.
Διαβάζω το ποίημα της Μάουτ στα ελληνικά. Ψάξε, ψάξε να με βρεις. Θα μετρήσω στο 10, είπε η ζωή. Και έπειτα πρέπει να κρυφτείς. Ο θάνατος την κοίταξε με μάτια, μεγάλα, ούφια, σχεδόν αξιοθρήνητα. Η ζωή έστρεψε το πρόσωπό της σε ένα δέντρο. Μέτρησε αργά ως το 10 και σκέφτηκε. Λέω να τον αφήσω κρυμμένο για πάντα. Μα όταν γύρισε απ' την άλλη, αναπήδησε επειδή εκείνος ήταν ακόμη εκεί. Μάλιστα, τόλμησε και έκανε μερικά βήματα πιο κοντά. Και μέσα στα μεγάλα κούφια μάτια του είδε το είδωλό της, έτοιμη ή όχι.
Człowiek okolicznościowy. Chciałem być asamblażem. Kruchość, szepki kraszer. Zaciszę rękawy i przestanę oddychać. W moim Boże baby wyzywają się od szogunów. Chcę powiedzieć coś, co wszystko zmieni, ale moje zajęcie jest żmudne i tajne. Poślizgły Zbawiciel tytuła umiłowanie. Tańczą pająki jak parzeni nuncjusze. Wiszajcie genitalia na własnej choince. Ludzkość to jeno baby hair na jajach czasu. Z pogodą ducha notuje fakt, że uważasz Royal Baby za chorego white trasha. W moim Boże bezdomni mogą gwałcić przestrzeń. W święconym kisielu walczą kuracjusze. Dziada z babą mi dajcie, przyśnie im wędrowny bochen.
An occasional man. I wanted to be an assemblager, fragility, a call, a sturdy crusher. I'll button up my sleeves and stop breathing. In my woods, women call each other shogun names. I want to say something that changes everything, but my task is arduous and secret. A slimy savior soils adoration, spiders dance like mating nuncios, hang genitals on your Christmas trees. Humanity is just baby hair on the balls of time. In high spirits, I notice that you consider the royal baby to be thick white trash. In my woods, the homeless can rape the space, the convalescents wrestle in holy mud. Give me an old man, an old woman, and I'll dream them up a nomadic loaf. Maud, in two of the poems in your Versopolis booklet, you describe life and death, being children, or at least playing childlike games, like hide and seek and tag. How have your experiences with death shaped your poetry, and what do you believe is the relationship between life, death, and poetry?
Wow, immediately the most difficult question you can ever get as a human being. But thank you for that. We're going to dive immediately very deep into life. I think, yeah, life and death are the two sides of one coin, or you cannot think about life without thinking about death, and the opposite. So actually, I'm really happy. I feel lucky that I'm a poet, because that gives me the time and the freedom to think about life and death every day, actually. And sometimes I think, wow, it must be really difficult to live on this planet Earth and not be a poet. So not having the freedom to think about all those big themes every day. And that does not mean that I'm walking like this in life and feeling the burden of the death the whole time, but yeah, it's perhaps it's because I feel really vivid and alive that I'm thinking so much of the death as well. And I have two little children right now, a daughter of 5 and a son of 2, and that makes me think even more about death, in the sense that I'm really afraid of the death. I hope. I learned already a lot in life, but I still have to learn many more things. And one of the things I still have to learn, I think, is to be able to handle with death and to not be afraid anymore. And I hope, I don't know if, I think there are older people here in the room or on the terrace, that when you get older, perhaps, I hope so, it's more easy to live with the death. I hope so. Well, that's not that short, my answer. But
Thank you.
big themes.
question now to Patrick. I read some poems this morning from your book, and I realized that in your poetry there is a lot of symbolism and a kind of revolution. What else do you pursue by writing, and when do you feel that the purpose of your writing has been accomplished?
Well, okay, thank you for this question. I like symbolism in poetry. I like surrealism. I like use my imagination. I suppose it's the most important tool for poets. You talked about revolutionary. Polish new Polish poetry is often about social stuff, about freedom, about breaking the rules. It is also important for me, but I don't like write about this stuff without symbols, without imagination. And what is the I suppose never. I'm not even sure what is the purpose of my writing. This is the important question which I try to think about, maybe not every day, but sometimes. Why I'm a poet, if anybody care for this, or it's helping maybe someone. For me, it's important to reach with my poetry people who doesn't like poetry as well, to break the bubble of our poetry world. And if someone who doesn't know poetry very well, after our reading, for example, he's talking to me that, oh, okay, it was cool, it was something new for me. There are this time when I can say, okay, it's maybe it's accomplished for tonight, for today.
What? I was spying today your YouTube channel, and I came across a very interesting video that I will describe to people. That you are walking in the streets of Antwerp, was it? And you're doing this kind of poetic activism, from what I understood. So Maud was walking in the streets, and she was talking to people that you didn't know, but through poetic verses. So she talked to them poetically. From what I understood, she was speaking out some of her poems to them, and it was very interesting to see their reactions. Some of them felt uncomfortable. I found it very brave, you doing this project. I understood that it's a project. So I'd like to hear how it was for you. Were you scared to do this kind of activism? Were you afraid that they would think that you are a lunatic or something?
I am lunatic. And yes, I was afraid. And yes, I am brave. So yes. No, well, what I liked about this project is that normally, if you listen to poetry, the poems are introduced. Or for example, tonight you're going to sit on those chairs, and we are poets, and we stand up or we just sit down, and okay, what we're going to hear, it's a poem. So you're already ready for poetry. But what I find interesting is what happens if you just walk into the streets and talk to someone in poetry. So when people are not prepared to hear a poem, how will they react? And of course, you could see it on those videos, because we made several of them. Sometimes people knew immediately it was a poem, so they were polite and were listening. other ones were thinking that I was indeed crazy. Once there was a man who immediately got aggressive. So I was just saying a poem about tomatoes, really a naive poem, and then all of a sudden he did like this. And I find it interesting because I don't know what happened there, but I think that that specific guy didn't know what was happening, and just out of that unknowing, the fact that he was not prepared to what he would get, he get into his reaction. And I always try to look for the tension between text and context. I mean, we are reading text to you, and this is the context we're all in, but what if the context is changing? What does that do with the text? That I find really interesting. And I was, I don't know if you have it here in Cyprus. In Antwerp, I was a city poet. Do you have that? A city poet? I'm quite proud of my city that they organize it. So every 2 years you have a new poet, and that poet can organize a lot of things in the city and do many projects with the inhabitants. And also the first poem I've read to you about the fact that we are living in one city with all those different languages. In Antwerp we speak more than 400 languages. I don't know how many languages here in Cyprus you speak, but I already understood that this city is also a city with a lot of cultures coming together. So that was the reason why I chose that specific poem. And I brought some. Can I show you something? I won't make. Actually, when I was a city poet, I wrote a specific poem. And I made that poem travel throughout different languages. So if you can perhaps, wait, if you can hold it, yeah. And you can hold the other part, yes. So this is the poem I've read to you. And then I made it travel throughout different languages. It was translated into English, and then again translated into Dutch, my language. And then that version, we translated it to Yiddish, Dutch again, French, Dutch, Russian, Dutch, Spanish, Turkish, Arabic, and so on. And I don't know, again, it's about a child play. Do you know the play where you have to whisper a sentence in one ear, and then you have to see what's happening, if it's traveling towards the last person? Well, that also happened with this poem. So the poem is changing the whole time, and the last poem is completely different from the first one. So yeah, those are the kind of really playful games I like to play, and often I take my inspiration in children plays, and I'm also like Patrick, I think, try to look for ways of opening up. And not only be on my own mountain like Zeus or the other gods and goddesses, but to come to the city, to come to the metropolis, to the polis, and to see what I can do with my poetry. I like it actually, those colors. Perhaps we can, or is it, you can just leave it down on the floor. You will see the colors there. So that was that a good answer?
It's wonderful how personal and collective histories can shape creative expression. So for you, Patrick, now, have you noticed any differences in how audiences from different cultural backgrounds respond to your work? I guess you have been to other trips as well around Europe with Versopolis.
Yeah, okay. So, in my poems, there are a lot of Polish backgrounds. Things I suppose they are only fully understood for Polish people. but like in your project, I suppose that every translation is a new artwork. It's a new poem. So I suppose that translator, even if he's or she's not a strict poet, he writing really new stuff. And I suppose that people in different country react the same way for stuff like pop culture stuff, like I don't know. In one of these poems is about stuff from Harry Potter. It's known all over the world, but also I have stuff I know that is only fully understand for Polish guys. But I think it's important for writers, for poets, not how to say, write fully how you feel it without afraid that some things couldn't be understand for different for another others cultures, because this is the way how we can develop ourselves like artists, like a people. So maybe this is the answer for your question.
It's very insightful, thank you. And also, from what I understood, the poems, every time they are being translated, they gain. They are. Yes,
yeah, of course.
They are not losing anything from the process of the translation.
Yeah, because it's popular to say about something is lost in translation, but for me, like you say, it could be also something gained in translation.
I am Tuğçe. Good evening, everyone. And my question will go to Maud. I think you are a multidisciplinary artist, writer and text on stage performer who is braiding poetry with theatrical performances and visual arts. And I also watched some videos on YouTube this morning. So we can say that you're adopting a kind of interdisciplinary approach in your art. And I would like to ask about your creative processes a little bit. Do you write for stage or performance, or you create your public performances, stage performances based on your texts? In this sense, how poetry and performance enrich and transform each other?
Yeah, that's also a really interesting question. I think I like to play, again I use that word, on two scenes. I like to play on the scene of the stage, and I like to play on the scene of the paper. And both scenes are in a way similar, but still they're also different, and there are different rules, I think. For example, I like to play with repetition a lot on stage and on my performance texts, because repetition always works. That's something magic. I think it has to do with songs. It's songs in which you just repeat the same sentence again and again. People like it because it gives you a feeling, I think, of comfort. Oh yes, there we are again. There we are again. Even if have you got the word refrain? So yeah, even it's completely absurd. Just the fact that we are again and we are there again and it's repeated. It gives you the feeling of being home or something. So I like to work a lot with repetition on stage, but sometimes I find it arrogant on paper because I think, yeah, I already said that, so why would I repeat it? Am I so happy about those words that I want to repeat them over and over again? So that's just one example to say that there are some differences. But some texts I only do on stage. Other texts are within my books and I never bring on stage. So, and some text I use for both media. And I just like to question myself over and over again, what will I make and for what purpose? And again, what is the tension between the text and the context and how can I play with it? Yeah.
Great, actually,
Can I show you, because we are here now, it's the first time, perhaps the only I know that I'm here. I brought the book in which you find the two poems about life and death playing child play. And I also like to play with the forms of how I publish a book. For example, I don't know if you can see it from the audience, it's a bit a magic book. So if I go through it, it's almost empty, just white space. I asked a lot of money just for publishing white space, but it's not totally white because you can find poems on the left side that they are hiding as well. But then, and magic, you have to listen. So, inside you have a novel, and outside you have the poems. It's called Japanese binding. So it's a way of binding your books. You can have a look afterwards if you want to. But you have to open up or tearing up the pages to be able to read the text inside. So also in a book you can be, I think, really playful. And that's a reason why I love books so much, because you can do so much with it, not only the typical bindings and typography, but to see it as an art form as well. Yeah.
Destroy the book.
Yeah, you have to destroy the book in order to read it. Yeah. It's a bit. What was the word you were using before? Uncomfortable. Like when I talk to people on the streets, it's a bit awkward. No, it was another word you used. But I like to play with the feeling of, ooh, that's a bit uncomfortable or awkward, or what am I doing here? But that's what I like. Yeah.
Great. Actually, I'm also questioning the intersection of poetry and movement or performance. And because I'm dancer and poet at the same time, and I'm trying to create some choreographies based on my poems. And so I totally agree with what you say about making repetitions and the meaning of repetitions. For example, whenever I come up with a kind of improvise and come up with a kind of movement, a dance movement, I ask myself this question, like, what is the meaning of this? Am I doing this like dance pose because I like it, because everyone does it, or to show my flexibility? It shouldn't be the reason. And we need to do the same with poetry as well. And I think repetitions kind of creates a kind of multiplying the effect. Actually, repetitions are multiplying the effect, and I am on the same page with you, saying that it gives repetitions make people feel comfortable and familiar. It gives them a kind of familiarity, and there is a movement on the page, there is a silence on the page, there is a rhythm on the page, just as we can find all of these on the stage as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really interesting what you're saying. And one of the ideas I have for a new project, I would love to make a performance in which I play with the border between texts, sign language, how is it called? yeah, and dance. So when does text can become sign language, and when can sign language become dance? So I would like to make a performance in which I gradually go from texts to dance. Actually, the only problem is I'm not as elegant as you, so I cannot dance at all. So yeah.
Cyprus in sign language, Cyprus is like this in sign language.
Really?
Of the shape of Cyprus is like this.
So you
Wow,
can
like a
use
big
it.
smile. Oh, that's
Smile or
so. I
something
already
else.
know one move then.
Yes, great. Actually, it's so interesting hearing these.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We should work together, but yeah, we have
Yeah,
the
we should
distance,
be working together. Maybe we'll find a way.
We need more money from Europe.
Yeah. Sponsorship.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Avi has taken ill, unfortunately, so I will read her question. She sent it to me this afternoon. I will read it to Patrick. Patrick, Avi says hi, and she asks, Patrick, you are the founder of Stoner Polski, a magazine journal which combines the avant-garde, psychedelia, and activism. How is poetry affected today by activism and vice versa? How is activism affected by poetry? Does activism put poetry in a new era of deconstruction, or does it change its role in society?
Yeah, okay, so this is like I talked before. New Polish poetry, poetry from especially young people, are very political. It's about anger, maybe even fighting for our rights. After all years, I'm not sure if poetry is the best way to fight about anything, but still, it's our passion. It's our for us. It's almost everything sometimes. Of course, in our poetry, we try to say something important, say something, not change the system, because it's impossible from poetry nowadays. But maybe change some individuals, maybe someone on the audience hear something interesting for him, something new in poem, and maybe this way it could be the way he understands something new, learns something new, pass it to another person, and I think every kind of art is political in some way. Even in someone write about I don't know, about flowers. It's also political because it could be about climate changing, for example, and stuff like that. I combine surrealism with political stuff because I also use humor in my poem. I don't know. It's funny for you. For me, it's very funny. Yeah. Sometimes I think for example, we have we know great comedians or stand-uppers, and they use humor to the best one. They used humor to say something very important in a very light way. So I think poetry could be a good work in the similar way. Yeah, maybe that's it.
And I want to note something because we saw a lot of speeches, political speeches in the past few days in the island, on TV and stuff. It was amazing how many times poems were quoted in those speeches. And for me, when I heard those speeches and knew that nothing was going to change, but they were quoting poets, I was like, I need to be more careful when I'm writing, because someday in like 50 years, some guy might quote me on that, and actually not be willing to change anything. So, just my 2 cents on how poetry can be utilized by politics, I guess as well.
At this point, what you just said reminded me of a poet who says, Mahmud Dervish, who says, maybe poetry cannot end the war, but it can change the weaves and ideas of a war pilot. I think that makes a lot of sense.
Podglądacz przyszedł. Nie wyobrażaj sobie tego. Przygłupi, martwy coach twierdzi, że piłki nie ma, a bramek jest 1000. Za każdą z nich zakapturzona pacynka dzierga całuny na twoje haluny. Zgorzkniały syn hejnalisty zbiera na nas wykwity. Cukrowymi kiputami dzierga całusy na nasze szyje. Palpitacje, kremacje, inne grube akcje. Nie wyobrażałem sobie tego. Była jedyną bliską osobą, której nigdy nie poprosiłem o spierdalanie. A łzy mi lecą jak pokebole, jak pojebane. Ja. Planeta Skalp. Widziałem wczoraj naszego szewca. Szedł w samych butach z krajem osiedla. Stukot obcasów brzmiał nieco nieczysto. Sorry, to był jednak karmazynowy pawian. Szedł w samych butach z krajem osiedla. Mamrotał pod nosem leciwy małpiszon. Pamiętaj, rzeźniku młody, pamiętaj, rzeźniku młody.
I'm going to recite a brand new poem for you tonight, and it's a love poem called Hep İnanılacak Bir Şey. Bebeğim, arızası giderilemeyen duygular, sihirli vaatler ve taşlar arasında sürmeyen inadına yaslansa bu hayvan. Bazı günler koklamaya cesaret edemediğim tek sensin. Hayatın durduğu doğru lülelerinden, bükülerek inmekten. Sokularak tarak kemiklerine ve uluyarak soğuktan sormuştu hangi ülkeye benzerdi ısınırken. Sevgilim, bırak sökemediğini yumuşatıp öyle yuvarlansın göğsünden bu kararsız hayvan. Çünkü seni sevmeye devam ediyorum yağmur ormanları kadar ısrarlı, kurtarılası ve şaman davulunun ritmiyle çıkmaktan bahsediyorum basamakları. Keşke benim de yanıma uzanabilecek bir atım olsaydı ıslık çaldığımda ve ben o ata hep inanılacak bir şey olsaydım daha ilk bakışta. Thank you.
Θα σας διαβάσω ένα ανέκδοτο ποίημα μου από τα πολύ τελευταία. Είναι λίγο θλιμμένο ποίημα, θα έλεγα. Τώρα που το σκέφτομαι, είναι πολύ ωραία η ατμόσφαιρα. Και ίσως θα έπρεπε να διαβάσω κάτι άλλο, αλλά όπως και να έχει. Μιλήσαμε πριν για πολιτική πράξη μέσα από την ποίηση και πιστεύω πως αυτόν κάνει αυτόν το ποίημα. Εύχομαι στο μέλλον, σε έναν πιο δίκαιο κόσμο, να μην έχει καν λόγο ύπαρξης αυτόν το ποίημα. Νεκρή μου κόρη, νεκρή μου κόρη, πριν σε γεννήσω, επιθυμία στις άκρες των δαχτύλων, νεκρό παιδί ήσουν. Νεκρή μου κόρη, δεν σε γέννησα για να μην πεθάνεις. Μέρα τη μέρα θα σε νέκρωνε στρατιάς φαρμάκι ατελείωτο. Μες στη ζωή μου, ταγμένη χήμερα, θα έτρωγε τη σάρκα της ψυχής σου. Στο αχανές του σύμπαντος φτιάχνω το σώμα σου. 2 άστρα γίνονται τα μάτια σου. Ήλιος ολόκληρος ανθίζει στα μαλλιά σου. Χάδι για σένα η αφή κάθε παιδιού που αγάπησα, μα δεν ήταν δικό μου. Κόρη μου, δεν σ' έκλαψα σε τάφο. Δεν σου φέρα λιβάνι και λουλούδια. Μνήμα το μέσα μου, ολοζώντανη με κατοικείς. Τα βράδια μόνη φροντίζει στην Εδέμ. Ρίζες, άγρια χόρτα και παράσιτα γεμίζει στο καλάθι σου. Λίπασμα γίνονται μες στη λεκάνη της αγάπης και με ξυπνάς της νύχτας μου νεράιδα να μου προσφέρεις ποίημα.
My first poem is about dementia, the illness in which you lose your memory, your personality, and your language. Zolang. Zolang we maar samen kunnen reizen. Zolang we maar samen de bloemen op ons terras kunnen verpotten. Zolang je maar zachtjes mijn koosnaampje van toen, weet je nog, kan prevelen, mijn innigste gebed. Zolang we maar samen onze kinderen op de heide zien ravotten en jij daarbij jouw hand in de mijne legt. Zolang je maar zachtjes mijn koosnaampje van toen, weet je nog, kan prevelen, mijn innigste gebed. Zolang we maar samen onze kinderen op de heide zien ravotten en jij daarbij jouw hand in de mijne legt. Zolang we maar samen onze kinderen op de heide zien ravotten en jij daarbij jouw hand in de mijne legt. Zolang jij jouw hand in de mijne legt. Zolang ik jouw hand in de mijne. Zolang jij mijn hand. Zolang jij mijn. Zolang zal ik zijn. Before I do my last poem, I would like to thank very much Nora and Lily to make this all happen and to organize this festival, to look for the tickets and for the program and everything so perfectly organized. So thank you very much. And I was talking about child place, and I hope you don't mind if I just quickly say one poem in Dutch without translation, because it's impossible to translate it. It's written in the P language. Did you ever hear of the P language? So, for example, Cyprus in the P language, it sounds like this: Sipi prepus. Do you have something like this in your language? So you have to repeat every syllable and to put a P in front of it. You have something? Okay, a language that children... Oh, bird language, okay. Well, this is a poem in the P language. Also, if I do this in Belgium, most of the people don't understand me. So just relax and listen to the rhythm and the melody. It's called Patricia. Weet je nog, toen we de P-taal spraken? We beetje puknepog. En dat Patricia. Papa, tripi, sipi, jappa. Papa, tripi, sipi, jappa. Had al in de tweede klas zo'n flinke DP, kopo, le pe, TP. Dat als ze opsprong bij het hinkelen, het leek alsof haar poepoezem appa, plappa, tipi, sipeerde. Ik zag haar later nog op de dansvloer. Ze was met die ferme tapetten van haar, die pikke brapammen, die gropote poporsen aan het bapounsen op de dansvloer. Bapounsen met die baporsteppen. En weet je wat ze zei daar zo op de dansvloer? Het was nogal onkuis. Ik zou zelfs durven zeggen pervers. Ik zou zelfs durven zeggen verdorven. Ik zou zelfs durven zeggen bedorven. Daarom zeg ik het maar in die onschuldige P-taal. Ze zei, zappa, le pik, jappa, epeens. Zappa, le pik, jappa, epeens, papappen. Zappa, le pik, jappa, epeens, papappen, patauporpen. Papappen, patauporpen. Papappen, patauporpen. En weet je wat ik toen zei? Opakapale, pik, papapotte, bij mij bij repoerpen, de poei, pennipiet. Shall I say it one more time? Opakapale, pik, papapotte, bij mij bij repoerpen, de poei, pennipiet. So it's really very good that you didn't understand the words, because it is a bit Well, I don't know. You can also hear it on YouTube and try to understand. For the last poem, I would like you to make the sound of the sea. De ruisende stilte tussen eeuwenoude bomen, verscheurd in nevels. De kille stilte aan een tafel die met messen wordt gesneden. De gedragen stilte van een minuut op een plein, de gedachten die bij slachtoffers zijn. Er is de opgelegde stilte in een studiezaal die voortdurend onder spanning staat. De gezwollen stilte van een overdonderend applaus waarin de laatste noot nog trilt. De tikkende stilte van leidingen in het huis waar je weer alleen bent na een pijnlijk vertrek. En de volbrachte stilte van ons op dit bankje, terwijl de verte het overneemt en alles is gezegd.
Καλησπέρα. Αυτό το ποίημα λέγεται Do you believe in magic? Δεν ξέρω αν μ' αγάπησε ποτέ. Τις μέρες που μιλούσαμε, οπτευόμουν πάντα ένα μικρό χαμόγελο πίσω από την οθόνη. Τις νύχτες, στα μπαράκια, μερικές φορές κατάφερνα να το κλέψω μπροστά στα μεγάλα θλιμμένα μάτια της και τα δαχτυλουργικά καφιόμουν πως μια μέρα πίσω από το πέπλο θα εξαφάνιζα τη λύπη μια για πάντα. Κι όμως, δεν ξέρω αν μ' αγάπησε ποτέ. Ούτε αν τα μάγια στέρευσαν τελικά ή ήταν όλα απλά μια οφθαλμαπάτη. Καταπαχτές ανοίγαν στο κρεβάτι μας τις νύχτες και μυστικά λαγούμια που οδηγούσαν πάντα τον καθένα σπίτι του ασφαλή από το θαύμα. Κι όσα λουλούδια και να έβγαζα από το καπέλο μου, ήταν λειψά γιατί τα μαζουλούσε ο άσπρος λαγός που πάντα φύλαγα για τον grand finale. Όχι, δεν ξέρω αν μ' αγάπησε ποτέ. Την τελευταία νύχτα πριν το χωρισμό, ούρλιαζε πως δεν ήμουν μάγος τρομερός ως νόμιζε η αφεντιά μου, παρά παλιάτσος, άχρηστος, που φούσκωνε μπαλόνια και καρδιές με αέρα. «Μα πού εξαφανίστηκες?» μου έστειλε μήνες μετά. «Ποτίζω τα μεγάλα κόκκινα παπούτσια σου καθημερινά. Φύτρωσαν για σεμιά που αναρριχούνται». Το διάβασα μια νύχτα, χαϊδεύοντας τον λαγό μου. Χαμογέλασα, μα δεν απάντησα. Ίσως και να με είχε αγαπήσει κάποτε.
Ψηφιακά μεταξύ μας. Αφού ψαχνόμαστε σε άγνωστες συχνότητες αισθήσεων, γιατί θυγόμαστε τόσο εύκολα? Ας ηθικολογήσουμε στο ισοζύγιο των απόντων καθρεφτών. Εξεγέρσεις στα δίχτυα της προσποιητής ευαισθησίας. Ανταλλάσσουμε δεδομένα με μια απλή κίνηση δαχτύλου. Συμπυκνώνουμε τη μοναξιά σε εικονίδια, αποθηκεύοντας ιχνοσταλμένες μονάδες για μια εικονική πρόσβαση στον έρωτα. Εντυπωσιακές προσωπικότητες, εκφρασμένες σε προφίλ, φιλτραρισμένες φωτογραφίες με προκατασκευασμένα λάθη. Προβάλλουμε εκδοχές του εαυτού που δεν αγαπήσαμε ποτέ. Συλλέγουμε likes ως αποδείξεις ύπαρξης. Και ποια η ανταμοιβή? Μια στιγμιαία επαφή στην νιρβάνα των social media. Μια αγκαλιά που ίσως δεν έρθει. Το να αισθανθείς εξακολουθεί να φαντάζει οξύμορο. Το αυθεντικό συναίσθημα υποτιμήθηκε. Σαν ξεθοριασμένο εισιτήριο για μια ξεχασμένη παράσταση.
Ένας Τούρκος. Ο στρατηγός είπε στη μάνα μου ότι η πιθανότητα να ζούσε ήταν μηδενική. Τα φυλάκια στη Νεάπολη είχαν περικυκλωθεί και έτσι ήταν αδύνατο να είχε επιζήσει κάποιος δικός μας. Στο μεταξύ, εκείνος ήταν αιχμάλωτος σε μια φυλακή στα Άδανα. Στην πρώτη ανταλλαγή τραυματιών αιχμαλώτων, ουρές στο νοσοκομείο να τους ρωτούν αν έχουν δει στις φυλακές της Τουρκίας τους αγνοούμενους τους. Πήγε φυσικά και η μάνα μου. Ρώτησε τον πρώτο τραυματία αν είδε τον άντρα της. Του εξήγησε ποιος ακριβώς ήταν. «Είσαι γιαγνή», της απάντησε. Επέστρεψε με το τελευταίο λεωφορείο ανταλλαγής αιχμαλώτων στις 28 Οκτωβρίου 1974. «Πώς σωθήκατε?» ρώτησε ο στρατηγός. Όντως τους είχαν περικυκλώσει, παραδόθηκαν, τους έστησαν στον τοίχο για εκτέλεση. Περνούσε όμως ένας Τούρκος αξιωματικός και τους απαγόρευσε να εκτελέσουν τους αιχμαλώτους. Έπειτα τους έδωσε ουίσκι να πιούν, επειδή ήταν σε κατάσταση σοκ, αφού το είχαν σίγουρο ότι θα πεθάνουν. «Ήταν πολλά καλός ο Τούρκος», λέει πάντοτε ο πατέρας μου. Και εγώ σκέφτομαι ότι οφείλω τη δική μου ζωή από τη μια στους γονείς μου και από την άλλη σε έναν Τούρκο.
And I also would like to thank Lily and Nora for making this great evening and festival happen in Cyprus. We owe them a lot, I think. Yeah, it was a great night to be reading all of these great poets, among these great poets as well.
Thank you very much.